All right, hello everybody. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Today we are going to review the stuff that we have been going over and try to start doing some more practical applications. So let's bow in. Say our silent prayer. Okay, so what we're going to play with today are our lines, our deflections, our traps, escapes. The center portion of the sacrum, this is our diamond. If you look in here, it goes across. So we still have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. You could say attack, defending, depending on what you're going to be using them for. If you're going to be using them offensive or defensively, and they intermingle. So I'm at the very tip or the corner to give myself the largest area as need be. Always keeping in mind that the opponent, because this is our checkerboard, this is our rooftop, we used to call it. We used to have an exercise that we called, was the rooftop. So when you battle against your partner, you can't leave this area because this is like a roof. And if you get pushed off the mat, you fall off the rooftop. And then it's over with, and then you restart. The next person will come up there, and whoever's left on the rooftop the longest is the victor. So when I'm at this corner right now, it's given me the options, and the same thing where I was saying each one of these squares is a room in my house, and I don't want to let my opponent break into my house and force me into a room where I have no escape. So same difference that we are going to be going with this theory, but whereas when I'm looking here, I want to say baiting or waiting for that attacker to hit my safe, cross my zone or my safe area. That's the force field right here. That's the extent of my arm. Because I know once they come into this area, they have the shots. They have kill shots where they can get to me. So I don't want to let them get to that point. When I start back here, my objective is I'm not even going to let them, when they go to cross, because now I'm not a square, I'm at the diagonal, is each of these smaller room areas, because this would be my normal room, I'm having it at a much shorter distance this way. But, I mean, coming across me this way is shorter. This is the longest route going from corner to corner. So this is giving me more time when they step in to drop them back into these squares. So I can either come straight in, when I'm coming straight in, to jam them before they come into my domain. This is where I'm blocking and clearing. And so now my main focus, I don't have to worry about dropping it necessarily out there. This is my cover area. So as I come and strike the person, I've cleared my spot right here. So I am strong on this area. But we are not worried about defending and deflecting necessarily as a escape mechanism where when you're on the long square, it gives you more options to play with. You can either drop your opponent, you can leave the attack situation, you have more options. When I'm in this position, when I'm coming off the diamond, I am full attack mode. So my main objective, or if you want to say your only objective, you don't want to say only because you want to give yourself what if situations, but your main objective is to just attack and destroy the target. So right here, I've just cleared my top line as it's coming right here. So usually you'd have your opponent turned the back, what have you. I have them split so they are off-centered. I have part of their body would be checked, so they would be almost in like this situation to where I have the back to them. So I'm having half of their energy pulling this way and having this part checked this way, so they're going to fall forward and they're going to need to try to catch their motion. They can't come back because I have displaced their balance. So just think of I'm right here, my balance is displaced, my arm is right here, my other arm is right here. If you look between my legs right here, because when I was coming at the attack, I'm coming straight in. So when we're fighting, I'm coming with more of a boxer or a fighter's squared off stance. I'm keeping, even like when we do our pukulon, so I'm coming straight, I'm keeping everything tight and small. So as I'm coming in tight and small right here, this is where you come in attack, so as the foot comes down there, it pushes me off right away, because when they were coming in here, I was already standing here. I'm not going to go off. You're doing your mugging or your decoying movements here. So you're stepping, you're keeping your step, just turning. This is when we're doing our clearing. So I'm turning, but my objectivity is that I'm going to take a large. This is what we practice when we get in our deep horses. I'm coming in with my large step right here. So as I hit and I splay, I'm chopping the line. So as this is coming in, this gets hit, this gets out balanced because I've been able to take over this line, pushing the person out. Right there. So boom, I'm here. So my next objectivity now is, because now I've adjusted my diamond. And then if you look, this is a smaller diamond where I'm right here. The angle that I'm at, I'm still on the diamond. So I'm still attacking. So I'm going diamond, small diamond now. And so my next movement would be to go in straight across, and I can start doing my clears, my back sweeps, what have you, but I'm coming through this area. This is going to be my next step. So if I went and got hit, boom, I'm being pulled this way. I'm being off balance. Now, if someone's coming through there, it's going to push me forward. I got nowhere else to go. This hand, this is being checked. This hand right here is being controlled and pulled, because when I split, I'm holding, I got the back, or I can go wherever it is. So when I'm stepping forward, it's into this. So I'm coming into my hard dragon stance. That in and of itself right there just split your opponent, and it drops them right to the ground. So when you're there, this is where you have your knees. You can split one way or the other. You can come in with the side. But I've just taken that opponent out, going with the diamond, because this is more aggressive. So like I said, so the first movement is I came straight up, but I'm still coming at an angle is when I'm doing it. I'm not fighting him straight, I'm fighting him this way. So when I hit, I break him and I splay him. So in setting up this foot, if you look straight down, I'm back on the diamond again. So now in my diamond, same thing, I'm going to take this middle line. So when we do the diamond, you want to take this middle line, but you're taking it at the angle. You're using this, you're using the two, this is where we say the trolley tracks, because if you look at a train track, it parallels going that way, so the two, not reels, but what the tracks roll on, I guess would be the wheels go on the trolley, as it keeps going parallel. So as I'm stepping, this is where, when I step in, I'm stepping in with that 45-degree stance with my body. I'm not twisting with my hips coming this way. They're straight across with the power. So that's where, boom, my end of my strike is going to be clearing to this way. And if you look down, I'm clearing right into a smaller triangle. Whereas when I'm here, I'm on my 4 boxes. I go from my big box, boom, to my center, my little box, and I have a smaller box in front of me, so on and so forth. If I put another asterisk inside there, I'd come to here, there'd be another smaller box right here, another smaller box right here. The difference between the box and the triangle is just straight on, it's your angulation. And when you change the angulation, one is more for trapping, the other one is for attacking. So the diamond is going to be more for attacks. So if I were going to use this, I'm still going to go for an attack, but I want to now, instead of meeting the opponent right here, not letting them get inside totally my diamond, because I'm being hard and aggressive. So this, you have to have speed, you have to have your speed and your timing, because you can't flub this, because they are coming in hard, you're coming in hard. So as you're coming in hard, this is total, boom, you're deflecting, you're hitting this, and you're redirecting that energy, and you're stopping it in its track, you're spinning it. So it's a real brutal, fast striking and augmenting the opponent. Now, if I want to give them a little bit more, or give myself a little bit more time to respond when that strike is coming in, when I'm coming in with that strike, when I'm coming in with that step, I will allow them to take their momentum forward, and I'm going to be going in a forward motion also, but I'm deflecting it off. So this is the shield, this is the sword. So as soon as I step, that's why this comes out wide. So as he's striking, I capture the strike, I deflect it off, because even if he was doing a haymaker, I'm still pushing it past because this is where my head should be, my center point. Now my head's over here, so they're striking this, so they would have to take a step to track where my head is now, because this is just moved this way. And so this is clearing anything that's coming to my head area. So I've shielded it, my back, my sword hand, my weapon hand is on this line. So this is just coming straight up for the strike, or for the clear as they're coming in, because I've deflected them off enough, and then this is a quick pop, punch, what have you. So as I'm coming in here, this gets deflected, so I'm already deflected off there, and so the punch will be coming this way, or I have all of this is open, because this just pushed me off the way, so this whole area is open. So when I'm here, boom, I'm hitting. Now this leg, my power is right here. So even if they were to take a larger step and blow past me, once I got right here, I can step right back halfway so that I'm out of their line of attack. And as they are coming across, if they're still taking that step in there, these are our short kicks. I have my short kick. I can still come and take out that center line where their foot's at for the trap as it's coming through here. That's what these lines we're practicing for right now, to get our muscle memory. And right now we have a big set pattern, and we're doing that so that it's the muscle memory's coming in. In an actual fight, I might not be stepping out that far. It might just be a little right there. It just might be a little strike. You need to start working on your distancing when you get your partners, so that you can start to practice to see where you're going to be getting the glances. because the closer you get, the tighter the step is, the easier it is for you to maneuver. You don't need to be making these large, drastic motions, because these large motions, when you're coming out here, this is, you're doing Chimande movements, because Chimande was in a, it means river, it's like in a marsh, swampy type jungle, where your footing is muddy, it's going to be wet, it's very slippery. So you need to make sure, so you have yourself grounded, you take very large steps. You make sure everything is going. See even how the mat's moving right there. So when I come down, I make sure that I have a good stable base and balance when I'm stepping so that I don't slide. So to tie it in with the Juru, let's say, so like Juru 1, when I turn and I come in and do my strike as I'm coming here, so you can see, so even when I go on the diamond, I'm going to, my foot steps open here, because I'm going to step in. When I step in and do my strike, as I come back to load it, I step, and now I'm on my train tracks. And so when I do my strike line is right here is where I'm even, but where I'm going to get my power, like if you're hitting with the bat right when you do your full extension, it comes through that line to right here off this line now. Bam! That's where my power point has just been. I've just taken over that power line. That's where I strike as I come out, and then as I go to open back up again, I turn this foot, so I'm clearing it. I clear here to come back. I've just cleared this whole area right here. Bang. Because that's what I'm saying. I'm clearing the diamond now rather than clearing the box. So when I'm stepping this way, so those small adjustments when we're practicing and doing our Jurus, that's what it's for. It's to start to allow your body to know where the lines of deflection and power are in accordance to where your body is positioned. And the body positioning is telling you if you're going to be offensive or defensive. So this is what we're starting to play. It's starting to open up the Jurus a little bit bigger now, because now we're seeing, because before when we were doing it on the line, so that we were worried, we were practicing when we were doing it on the box. So this foot comes out, comes here, so I'm going straight across to the box. So this is where I'm focusing on. I'm clearing this area. With the diamond, I'm still clearing. When I look here, this is the box still. But now my angulation is, I'm on the double triangle with the tip and the tip, which is the diamond. So when I hit and I clear, I make sure that my hands are clearing that way. I'm still doing the same movement, but I'm making sure that it's more crisp on the line. So when I'm coming up. So that's why you see these little different subtleties when you start watching the tapes, or if you start seeing the elder pinjackers or silat players, when they do their forms, like Uncle Bill is a perfect example. When you see him doing his form, you might say, you're like, well, he's not doing it the same way twice. Why is he doing it differently? He's going through there. You have to look at his expressions. Is he doing it offensively or is he doing it defensively? If you can figure out how he's doing that, then you can see the pattern that he's doing, and then it lines right up. Is he being aggressive or is he being more decoy and trying to get you in on the bait? Movement's the same, the energy and the directing, that's what's changing, and the angulation is slightly off. And it's slightly off because I'm on a different angle of the pattern. I'm no longer on the square, I'm now on the diamond. So the diamond is much quicker because you're moving the distance in it's like a circle when you do your 2 lines to get, that's how you, when you get your arc and then your radius between those 2 lines, and then you get all the other measurements as it's going through there. This is the same way. If you put a giant circle around it, then your X's start to, your asterisk inside there starts to make greater sense, because that is dependent upon how I'm facing those lines, because every line could be a square or every line could be the diamond. So we're not doing that right now because that'll be too much and you'll get confused. So right now we're doing everything stationary. We have been practicing on the square. Now we're focusing more here on the diamond. We've been kind of playing with the diamond. The diamond is more male, so we've been getting the theories, but now we're going to start looking at this a little bit closer than the square, where it's more of a trapping for the female energy. And let us just take another deeper look at this with the aid of some weapons. So weapons are really good because it gives you a good visualization of what's going on. So let's put the hatchet down here first, and let's look at the tonkat, or the stick. So when I'm more in an attacking mode, this would be considered the sister or the brother art, depending on how you want to look at it in the Filipino martial art, to the Verbrile Largosa, which would be considered more of kind of your boxing and your trapping. It's much more detailed, skill-oriented, and you got more of a plan. And from what I've seen, not to say that the Serrada isn't, but the Eskrima, the Serrada, it is very to the point. It's smaller movements. The energy is quicker. You're not as thorough. I don't want to say thorough. You're not like you're not worried about making sure that I have this whole thing cleared here, then come back. It's more quick, click, quick, clear, and tap, right into the strike. I'm not making sure, boom, I'm coming all the way down, locking that person, striking, and then coming out. It's a much quicker, you're striking, you're going right to the source. And that's where Dr. Andre was even trying to tighten it up even more with the Anak Sarak, that he was infusing the Silat more into that. So the Silat, so let's just take those for instance. So if I'm getting struck with the number 1 strike, so it's coming straight down the middle. So if I were to use the, let's just say that the box theory, or more of the Kali, the Verbrile Largosa, so it's coming at me, the strike. And so my first movement is, as I'm stepping, is this, I'm clearing my distance, because I'm making sure that their step, they can't be coming that quickly in me, so I catch them automatically, boom, here before I come up as I'm clearing into my neutral position, so I'm blocking all the way out. So as this strike was coming down, as I was stepping, that already blocked them, this already trapped, this as it's coming across and clearing, and I'm clearing all the way over to make sure that I have them at their furthest extension. So this is safety oriented. So I've cleared, they're coming the whole way over to this area, and then as I go into the strike, I step, and then I come back over, and this is where you got your fanning or your strike in this hand right here. Just made sure I cleared whatever the other hand was or whatever else was in this vicinity. So I cleared and then I struck. So the more aggressive, if you want to think of the more of the serrata movement, would be as the strike's coming in, I'm not going to step and parry off to make sure I'm offline so that I don't get hit. Like, and it's because Largo Mana on all that, that's you step off because you have the bigger stick. You make sure that you strike them and they can't strike you. These are all good theories, and so that's where we were going with that. It is much more safety oriented. I'm making sure that I'm clearing it, but I'm taking the least amount of possibility of taking a strike. So what this is going to do, serrata, I'm going to cut as soon as this is coming in there. This right here, I'm not going to worry about the bottom strike and then coming up to clear. So my first movement is that it's not necessarily a 1-2 movement. It's almost a one all in the same movement. So as soon as I step with my opposite foot to get off of line, this stick is coming up. So it's right there. So I've already cleared where they've been at. So it's cleared right now. So I blocked them off the way. So the next thing that I'm going to do is right from here, come right in with the strike. Boom. Strike right at them. So I just, if my timing, if my distancing of anything is off with this, I'm getting pummeled because I'm stepping into the attack. I'm attacking the attack full force. So I have got to be situational awareness. I have got to know my body's own distancing. I need to know my angulation correct with my steps, because all of this is happening at seconds as it's coming in there. So I'm playing the odds that this person is somewhat skilled, that they're going to be coming at me in somewhat of a straight line, because that's where my energy's going, is right there. So as this comes up to clear, I have this hand, I have right here cleared. So if anything were to come at me, I'm not going to be able to check it, because now this hand is coming to this to help strike. So I still have protection. Now it's gotten shorter with my elbow, because we have all of our elbow clearings and all that that's up here. And so then as my strike's coming in here, that's where my strike comes through. And so now if I need to clear, I'm ready here, coming back in there. So that is, once again, we're going off of the diamond, off of here. So that's giving you kind of a flavor of the distancing and the speed and the philosophy between the two, between the box and the diamond. So what Dr. Andre was kind of combining, and this is where the Ratu-Adil philosophy came in with all of this, looking at the box, but how we do our attack also. Even this was good. I mean, this was very cut a lot of the distancing off from what we were doing when we stepped off to the side. Make sure we clear coming back this way. The finer nuances that was added, it was the same thing when the strike came in. This was the block strike that was right here, but now this hand right here would take, so I'm striking down this way. So I just had, this was just blocked. In the first movement that we did, it would have been cleared all the way across my body, because I would make sure that I'm not going to get struck again. The second one is when it's here, the movement struck my hand and then came in and got struck. So what we were doing with the portions of the Onyx Rock, we still came in and we blocked. So this is still blocked, and so when this was coming up to strike, what we did is, because we don't waste any motions in the Ratu-Adil, so when this came in, hit the arm, struck here, This hand right here parried, cleared the opponent's weapon against our weapon. So it's a slap down. So we boom, strike, slap this down. As we're slapping this down, this strike is coming in. And so as I'm striking right here where this is at right now, so this would be dropped down as the strike's coming in. That's what we were adding with the philosophy of the Ratuadil. So you can see it kind of was an evolution, one step up. It was making it even that much more quick and effective. But then once again, when you're doing this, your timing, your distancing, your acquisition of the target has to be spot on, because now you're grabbing your sticky hands, you're slapping, and you're coming in. But the reward is that well placed, once you go in there, that one strike is almost, nothing's 100% guaranteed, but you're guaranteed to get that instant destruction that you need to have them off base. Whereas these other ones, you're tenderizing them, you're still striking them. It could be, depending on how tough they are, odds are they're going to go down, but you're still not hitting them with enough of your full force and trapping to where you're going to need to you're going to need to tenderize them up a little bit more to get to the point where you're going to drop them. Whereas this, I'm pulling it forward and coming in there, so I'm using the own body momentum after I've done that stunt to come in with the strike and the pull at the same time. So you're increasing your odds exponentially to get a quicker resolution to the conflict. So these are the theories and the applications that we are going to be starting to work with. This is what's going on with Ratuadil's open hands. Uncle Roy said, whatever weapon's in your hand, that's your favorite weapon at the time. And you don't want that weapon to become the other person's weapon. So you really have to know what you're doing before you do weapons. That's why he didn't do weapons until you had the whole system, and then he introduced those. How we had it with the Kunzigregan brothers, it was different because we brought in the weapon from the FMA to show this is much more dynamic. You're showing them large movements. We're still doing the movements, but it's better for muscle memory, and it's much more, it allows the person to grasp the concept much quicker. So we introduced this as the introduction art, and then incorporated this with the open hands, because the open hands is the ultimate martial art. Anything with the weapon and all these things, these great, it looks awesome, the striking and all that, but if you understand the theory and concept, this is still too much room for how we do it when we're fighting. I'm still giving up, because when I'm doing this, now I have to make my triangle larger, which means I have to make my square larger, which means I have to make my diamond larger, because now it's accommodating for this distance rather than this distance. So it's made my life harder, but it's made it safer in a sense when I'm first learning, because I'm not comfortable with it. So when you become comfortable with it, you want to have that person as close to you as possible, because that's when they pull out blades and things like that. You're going to be able to use your body to stuff that they're not going to be able to get that movement and that inertia going to where they're going to be doing deep damage. You're going to get, whenever you get in a knife fight, you have to come, to the realization that you're going to get cut. So what you want to do is you want to control the cuts if you can, and you want to make sure that they're not attacking your water portions, because you want to be able to walk away from that attack. So the closer that you're into them, then you have more control of the weapon. You're not giving them time to back up and get that thrusting motion, get that chopping motion. So you want to be as quickly in there as you can, destroying the limb destruction that's holding the weapon. And so do that with distance, you do that with the stick. But if I'm off, and I miss, because this is everybody's swinging, greater chances of me missing this, and then with adrenaline and all that, you get hit, you're moving around there, you're still trying to control deflection. When I'm open-handed and I'm doing this, I'm controlling sticky hands. My hands, that's what we call them, sticky hands. As soon as they grab on, as we practice the beans and all that, they do not release once I get that weapon hand until that weapon is dislodged. That, I'm married to that. I'm crazy glued on that hand until I'm using all my weapons to make sure that I have disabled, just that limb is destroyed. So that's pretty much what the name of this game is. It's limb destruction. Sticky hands is the game that we play. Everything that we're doing in here. So as soon as your hands stick on there, then we go and that gets trapped. That's what I wanted to get into today. A lot of the locks and the traps. Unfortunately, I live here in California, and we were having these things called the Santa Ana winds, and so my house up in the mountains, the power's been out the past few days, so my brother was going to come down here and help me. We had Thanksgiving dinner, but they had to get up because the sun was going down and there's no lights. So unfortunately, he was not able to help me. So I'm hoping that next time either him or the student will be here to help practice this, showing you with two persons. But we can go over, because I can show you the movement just with my one hand and my other hand holding. If you have Uncle Rudy's second professional tape, he has a lot of these exchanges on there, and we have the same ones, but ours are also a little bit more in depth. Those are a great clearing and stripping where he's going there. Where we want to do it is once we clear it, we don't want to release, we don't want to let go of that hand until we have done some sort of damage, some sort of break as it's going through there. So the first one is, we'll go like this so you can see in the camera. So normally when somebody grabs your hand and does the pulling, they grab you and they're going to pull you. So they go and they grab and they do the pull. So the objectivity is on this is because if they pull, my reaction is to pull back, and so we get into a tug of war. So you want to use that to your advantage. So when they pull and you pull back, they're going to pull even stronger. So when you pull back, your objectivity is for this to just turn your hand over. So as they're pulling this over, you turn your hand. So your hand rolls over. So let me do it with, so you can see it a little bit better this way. As they grab, so this pulls over, this hand rolls up. Once your palm is up there, it just rolls to your hand. See, this breaks right there, and then this just comes back over. And so now you are trapped on you have their hand trapped. You've broken their hold. And so you're in this position. And so when we grab this right here, they can come in and they can break. So these are the fingers that we grab with. These are our feelers. So they're still gonna help out, but this is where our majority of our energy comes into, is right here. So once this holds, the movement is when they go in and they're grabbing here. So this turns, breaks, and I hold them now. So this is holding. So this you can consider your shield. So this has that hand now trapped. So as you're trapping, as you're pulling back here, the inclination is to go back. So as you're pulling, this is where you step, and then this hand comes right up into the punch. So it's one of these, you're splaying them. So you have them almost in a whiplash, and this is coming right up to their throat, to their nose, to their solar plexus, wherever it's at, it's going into strike. If you want to just escape that person, so when they come here and this hand comes up and holds it, so this turns, this other hand, what this would do, this would slap straight down at the same time, so you're doing this motion. So when this is turned up, and I'm coming, and I've turned this hand up, and it's coming to trap the other person. The other person's thumb is still holding onto my hand, but it's being twisted. It'll be like in this position. This other hand, where it comes there, that's where your targeting is on that thumb, because these 4 fingers are strong holding onto here. This thumb isn't. This thumb is single. So when you turn that up, it's showing the thumb. You can see, I can't get into that position, but the thumb will be here. It's like holding up there. So that is my objectivity. So as this turns up, this hand comes down and just strikes right on that thumb. And then as that breaks out, this hand comes free. So it's this motion. You don't waste that motion. This comes up into the back fist and does into a strike. So if you watch the tape, so when we do it, the thing that you practice, this is the motion that you want to practice. So this comes up, you say hi, and then you just put your hand back down. So, and if you look in our hand movements, that's what we're doing here. So this motion right here, so you're just making like a circle, a C is what's coming in there. So as soon as that drops, this comes up, turns down, and goes right on top. The harder that they pull, that they have this, the better that the breaking is going to be. And so practice our stretches as we're going in here. If you do the mung beans, that's what this is for. If you twirl the sticks, that's what this is for. It loosens all this up there. So when you go to do these strikes or these strips, this is very strong. What you're breaking against that. So the harder they're holding it, the better it is. The other one is if I have both my hands and they go to do a double grab on you, it's the same thing as you're doing that way. It's a roll over. So you're seeing both of your hands and you do that circular motion right there. That breaks it, it turns, and then you have their hands on there. And so then you can pull it back down, come back up there. I'm just showing you the motion as it's going here so you can start practicing. You can practice with yourself. That's when I usually will, just to get the feeling, squeeze with the other hand, and then so that you can just start getting in practice with that, and then I just keep clearing with the other hand so you get used to that motion, that rolling motion. So as soon as you feel that, as soon as you got someone there, if you just keep doing that, you don't even have to think. It's just automatic. 'Cause you got the inside and you got the outside. You got both ways that you can go through there as you're going. The other one is very similar. So when they're coming in and they're coming to do the choke on you, they're squeezing. If you look at your hands, they're squeezing your throat. So they're coming in, they squeeze my throat. So what I'm going to do is, when they come in to do that, you have a thumb on one side of your carotid and you have a thumb on the other. That's just how it has to be. So when they go to squeeze, you have thumbs, one thumb on each side. So these 4 fingers are stronger in area. The weak part are the thumbs. So this is where you have to, once you start practicing with the partner, when you feel that, you'll be able just to detect. See, because I have one thumb here, I have one thumb here. So my movement is, this is when we do our clearing. So remember we had swatting flies. So what I'm going to do here is this comes automatically up. So it's going to be striking one of the thumbs. That's going to be, it doesn't matter if it's the top or the bottom. I'm striking one of the thumbs as it's coming in. And so the motion is that I pull, the hand pulls back. So if I come this way, it comes this way. So you have to start practicing getting this motion, because this is what I'm doing. I'm clearing. So when it comes here, I'm breaking across. And when I turn, that shifts. They can't hold on this way. That's shifting your body, because you're stepping back and you're turning it. And when you're doing the clearing, you're breaking the grip on one, if not both of the hands, to give yourself enough room so that your windpipe is able to breathe. And so when you do that, you're dropping back into a hard dragon. Bang. So when you're doing that, that's your energy that you're practicing with, is I'm pulling back, as I'm pulling back. So once you have that motion down, simultaneously, as this hand comes back, and as you're stepping, this hand comes straight up. You can practice your ridge hand, or your strike, or your Qigong. So you're going anywhere on their solar plexus. You're going, because they're choking you and holding you this way. So this leaves all of this open. So when I break, and this hand comes straight up, or to the poke, I'm breaking right into there. This is also helping because I'm either coming over, depending on the size difference, it's either going to be coming over them or coming under them. But this is breaking, and this is coming straight out to do raking the eyes or jabbing. So by the time you have this motion right here, you've broken at least one of the hands. And this is, like I said, it's either over or under. So your next movement from right here is from our 6 strikes. So from right here, because I've stepped back, I've struck them, and I've cleared that. So my next step is I clear, I do my striking hands, and then I step in with this hand now and do the strike. So the motion is here, as you get, stand back here, as you get this, as you start practicing it, as you get this down. So it's here, just start practicing, you do this first. So when you first do it, just start practicing turning. When you have your partner holding you and choking you, just turn your body. Don't step yet, but just turn your body so you can actually start feeling the difference, because they have to move with you. Because when they're doing that, you'll move, they'll move to side. And then when you get that there, take your step back. Feel with your shoulders. You can almost do a shoulder check. Sometimes, if they're coming tight enough, and they're coming from a tall range, and you're coming in shorter, this movement right here, just when you roll your shoulder up and you step back, that's enough to clear, to give you the space so that you can breathe. So it's doing this, you're throwing all your weight back, and you're throwing this forward. So that's forcing them to come forward as it's going through there. So you have to pull back and drop. And so then once you get that, you start adding the strike. And so that right there, that usually clears it right there. Right there, it's done. You've caused them harm. So then the next part, and this is where you have to start being careful when you have your partner, is just get that hand up. Just get that hand up. Just get that hand up right now to create the distance. Once you get comfortable with that, that's when you start playing with where you want to see where that's coming in. Do I want to come up with a strike? You're going to see what feels better for you as you're doing this motion. You'll start to see what targets and what ranges you have as far as different size with your training partners. So, boom. And then once you have that down where you see that, then that's your next motion. So once you hit there, then this is cleared. So then this hand takes over, and as you're stepping, whatever you have here, you've broken their hand placement. You're taking their shoulder, or you're taking their bicep, wherever it's out there, and that's what you're using you're pushing them off as you deflect it. As you're stepping in, and this punch, the second punch comes in, that's going to be your knockout punch. Boom, as you're coming there, you arrange where you want them to be, because they've already been stunned, they've been hit. And as you're stepping through there, they're not expecting you to come in and attack. And so you're pushing them off as you're stepping. And then that's where you're getting your acquisition and your ranging. And you're going to smack them. So that's where you get the breakaway from. The other alternative is when they're coming and they're choking you is same thing. I'm not going to turn back this way, but I'm going to just remember when I was teaching the female self-defense class, I would just tell them, just remember to pray, because they have some where they tell you to come up and out, but if you have a really strong person, it's not going to work. So when they're choking, what you do is, as I'm stepping back, my head goes forward, because they're going right here, my head's going forward, so I'm making sure that their hands are trapped with my chin under here, so I'm making sure that they're not going under, because my next move is this is what I'm saying, this is where you can pray, and so when you're doing this when I'm choking, it collapses me because you're hitting them here, of focusing on the elbows or the forearms, so it drops them this way, because they're choking you, and then you come over and you drop them. They can't let go because you got your chin trapped there, so you're bringing them straight in to you. So this right here, this drops them there, and you're like in a jumping position anyway, so you have their hands trapped here, so you've hit, they've come down, now their face is right there. Next move, you have your thumbs right here. In the videos you'll see Uncle Rudy, he's saying you can hit them in the carotid and you can knock them out, but that is extremely hard. You have to be accurate, you have to know where that's at, and that's not going to with the adrenaline, that's not going to, unless you're strong, unless you know what you're doing, that's not going to do much damage. So when you're in this position, you've come down, you've collapsed, your thumbs are right here, their head's right here. So the easiest way to do it is, as you're pushing forward, you're looking right at their face, you got your thumbs right there, and they go right inside, especially with girls and their thumbs, right in the eye sockets. Just bam. Once you hit that, these hands are clearing around the ears, around that head. You don't let go of that until they release the grip that they have on your throat. So just in that motion right there, they're already down there, you have that. If they aren't moving their hands, because you have it trapped down there, this motion where you have it pushed is giving you enough that the grip will be broken. So when it's right there, so when I'm right here and pushing them down, this is where we have our side kicks. Boom, boom. So whatever is right here, if you can get up, get to their groin, that's great. If not, you got their ankles, you got their knees, because the next motion is you're kicking through to step, because you want to take them, because you have this here, and you're not going to take them straight back, you're taking them to your angle, because remember you're here, triangle theory, you've taken that line, now you're going to go to the trolley tracks. So that's how you get them off placement. You're taking them to one side or the other. And so when you're taking them down there, this is going to be cleared. And even if not, if you're on top of them, you've gouged out their eyes, crushing their freaking skull against the ground, because they're not going to have if they still keep choking you, they're not having their hands to brace them falling to the ground. So that's where you're going to fall with all of your weight, pushing their head right into the ground, and then that's going to be end of session. Their hands will be the least of their worries. So it's scary when someone is attacking you and controlling you. That's where you have to maintain. That's where the Tai Chi and all that, and that's why it's easier said than done. But that's why you have a training partner, so you get used to this. This freaks a lot of people out. It's like, no, don't get around my neck, because it just is claustrophobic. Freaks them out. So just get used to this motion right here, because once they have both of their hands here, you know where both of their hands are. So those hands are no longer going to be a threat to any other part of your body. You want to isolate that right there. So you trap it, you come down, and you nullify what's there. So you take control of that situation. You've just trapped their hands, you've taken out their vision. That's going to freak them out. Soften them up with whatever kicks you're doing, and then as you're going in there, you're driving them off of your diamond to one area or the other, and you're going to be driving their head into the ground, and so it's going to be game over. So practice your strips, as they're coming in, so someone grabs you, and just remember, it's like a roll. We have this exercise, that's what this exercise is for when we do our rolling. So your hands is just going through there. So as soon as someone grabs you, you can play that game with your training partner. They grab you, you go and you block and break it apart. And then as soon as you go and block and break it apart, you go to do your grab, they go block and break it apart, go back and forth. You work on your grabs and your traps and your counters. Now you don't want to get into, you want to do it where it's tight, where you can feel that and make sure that you can escape. Do that like just once or twice with them, but when you're doing this exercise, don't be doing that because you're going to get hurt and you're not going to have that training partner for too much longer. So just do the grab and do your two hands. So when you feel them going to do your strip, let it go. Let that go. They won that one. Now you go and you do your grab and strip, and they do the same thing. And so you just keep playing. So then that's where you start getting your sensitivity. And then as it starts getting better, once they get this trap, if they're able to go quick and push a trap on your elbow to trap it in there, then as soon as they cleared, now you got to worry about your bari san. Boom, come there, clear, and go through there. So it escalates. But like I said, go slow, play with it, get used to the feeling as it's going through there. So that makes you become more sensitive, and it desensitizes you from freaking out when somebody grabs you. If you're in a crowd, at a club or whatever like that, they just go to grab you. This, in my youth, I should say, when I was training, because I've been doing this since I was I think I was 20, maybe 19, when I started doing this, but in my mid-20s, I was a guest of the state for a day or two. And in that situation, when these county workers with badges, they came and grabbed me, I didn't know who or where they were at, and same thing, because they went to grab me and put a cuff on real quick, and I had been so used to that I parried, checked, pushed them against the car before I realized that it was a black and tan. Two more of his guys came up to the side, and I was doing the same thing because it was just instinct, because he'd been playing it, and it got to the point where, thank the Lord, it wasn't as tense as it is now, but I had the guns pulled on me, and I thought that I was like, oh shit, I'm done. But I apologized to them. I'm like, I didn't know who you guys were, what was going on. I'm like, people are just grabbing me. And so it was able to de-escalate. So it was, once you do that, the point is that you will respond. If you play like this and you make sure that you're training well with your training partner, that game, it just becomes muscle memory. So then just as soon as someone grabs you, you're automatically clear. And then if you continue with the block check game, then that's how you win. You keep blocking until you can check the person, and then that's how it moves to where you're walking around, because you keep checking, and then the objectivity becomes your situational awareness. You start looking. You're like, if I keep going this way, I'm going to drop him into this corner. If I can drop him in this corner, he's not going to be able to move or anywhere escape. Then I will have won this situation. So it becomes like a dance, like everything else. That's why when we start doing that, it gets to the point where, because you could be going all around the room and just making, when you're first doing it, you're going to do that because you want to get the exercise and the muscle memory. But once it becomes more of a training tool, then that's where you get your Sicorum. And it's the same thing. It's like if you fall off the mat, the game is over. You're done. So when it goes to these, and you're trapping, you're blocking, you're going into these situations, if you fall off the mat, you're done. Then you get good enough to where you go, okay, we're just going to go on one mat. So you're just on one mat, and it's all the squares, and that's when all the movement is. It's almost like sumo. It's very close. It's very tight. And then that's when are you going to pull, when are you going to parry, when are you going to do this, using your opponent's energy off of the movements that they do. So that's when it becomes kind of cool, is when you're doing all that and you're working on your sensitivity, not even realizing you're like, well, because when you're there, yeah, you already have all your punches and everything that you've been playing with. It's like, yeah, I could pepper those into that situation. You start seeing, you're like, okay, but that would be done. I'll come in there and hit that, but you're not gonna do those kill strikes with your partner. Like me and my training partner Benji, he was an Olympic ice skater. So when we would play, we would practice with one another, knowing I can't, and I was working in the medical field. We weren't going to go too crazy because I couldn't hurt him or damage because he was still competing, and then I couldn't not go to work because we were injured. So we would practice with one another. We'd get to the point where we know when we were getting too rough and overextending what we should be doing, then we would like kind of back down. But the more that we practiced, those times when we were overextending ourselves and going to be hurt, we worked our way up to where that was our normal speed when we were doing it. And so when you do it that way, that's why you need to trust your training partner. They're like your dance partner. So when you're doing all this, come up with your ground rules and just make sure that you don't harm one another, because that's the shame of it, is that you won't have anybody to play with and work on these two-man drills and these different applications with. So we'll leave it at that right now. And I know I keep saying that hopefully we'll have a partner next time, but hopefully the holidays we're right in the middle of them. So once all this is done with, I'll be able to have more steady classes with the students that were going to help me. Just right now, it's just been kind of hard because everybody's planning. This is the first year in 2 years that people can actually be with their family and stuff. So it's been a little bit rough getting the schedule synced up with the training guys. Okay, so that's it. We will bow out. Where am I? Trimikasi. All right, and so I will try to get one more out before then in November, and then we will work on the 2 for December, and then when January comes, hopefully I will have been able to get in contact with some of you to see where you're at with the material, so we can test and so that we can start reviewing some new material in 2022. Okay, everybody have, hopefully you had a good Thanksgiving. Happy Hanukkah for the weekend for any of my Jewish brothers and sisters out there. And we'll see you soon.